Hello, everyone. My name is Ramon Kavanagh. This is Byron Shepherd joining me for Morning Shot. And we got in our inbox the following video. I say inbox, I lie. It's actually on Twitter. It's a bunch of people in Kimberley, which was formerly a great town, which is now literally a shithole, not just a big hole. And these people in Kimberley are actually very upset about the lack of services by the ANC. So they decided to throw feces and urine at the councillor's house for, I don't know, a whole morning. And as you can see in the video playing right before you, there is a lot of urine and there is a lot of feces as well. Byron, what are your thoughts on this newest form of terrorism that South Africa is facing? The terrorism by piss.
Yeah, so in the morning's video, we covered how South Africa's banks were going to be treated like North Korean banks
Mm-hmm.
because it was going to the international grey list for money laundering. And interestingly enough, in a follow-on article from that, Becky Selle published some new terrorist-relating rules and laws for public consideration. One of those laws, which everybody should pay attention to, is that doing an insurrection or changing a government would now be classed no longer as exempt from terrorism charges, especially if you overthrew a tyrannical government. It would now be directly classed as terrorism. So, technically speaking, underneath these new laws, what you've just seen does technically class. It does get classed as terrorism. It's an act of terrorism
That's
because they're
right.
terrorizing the ANC minister. Anyway, with that being said, what do I think? Well, I think the people are fed up, mate. Like, there's only so much you can push people and not give them service delivery and claim racism and BEE and Amandla and some conference and let's have a joint social compact before everybody looks at it and goes, well, this is full of shit. And if it's full of shit, I'm willing to share that shit. So
Yeah,
off to your
very
house
much
I
so.
go.
I mean, my only problem is these, I think it takes quite a bit of time, like to go everywhere for everyone to pee in a bucket, to get like 20 liters of the stuff and then to throw it. You have to drive there, you have to organize transport, organize buckets, you have to throw it manually. It's hard work. Whereas the people in this community could just vote for someone else. Like, for God's sake, it is not hard. Just vote for
Mm.
someone else. This is a Sol Plaatje municipality near Kimberley. ANC got 52% of the vote last time, and last time was only last year. So it's not like it was 5 years ago or something like that. It takes more work to throw piss at someone's house than it is to vote for someone else. But the more work is what people want, apparently. It annoys me greatly. I have no sympathy whatsoever with someone who has voted for the ANC over and over again. I like the fact that you're throwing piss at their houses, don't get me wrong, but be a bit more productive and use the same amount of energy to go vote for someone else, and you might be in a better position later on. Like, I know, high IQ stuff, but I'm sure everyone can get it.
And I'm in complete agreement. Why? Obviously, one of the things that we do see, though, in a lot of these kind of locations is that they don't see the opposition parties as being credible. We have ANC's ministers saying, and there was an ANC minister last week saying he sounded the alarm bells and said, if we don't change course, we'll have a white man as president in 2024. Clearly, obviously, reference to John Steenhuisen. But notice the way he said it, a white man. Ooh,
Yeah,
Yana's coming back. And,
from the
that
grave.
from the grave.
So calling
And
back to our
he will,
ancestors. The ANC does it, why can't we?
absolutely. Well, as we did yesterday in our clips, like, the ANC is saying we should call on our ancestors to cleanse the country. But, jokes aside, like, it's just the ANC being the ANC, isn't it? Like, you look at it and you just
Yeah,
go, well, they besmirch the opposition so that the local people don't really think that there is an alternative. And they're like, well, this is a great idea. But the problem is, if you take the alternatives away from the people, the only alternative left is Sri Lanka, mate. Like, you're going to have
yeah.
massive, huge insurrections. Well, we already had one of them. You're going to have riots everywhere, and people are going to turn on the very leaders that can't serve them. And that's exactly what we're seeing.
That's actually a very good point in terms of politics. Like, if you don't give people an outlet or an alternative, if you're the only one, then you're the one that will bear the brunt of it. Like, because the peaceful resolution is to vote for someone else or to change your mind about
Correct.
voting or whatever the case might be or take part politically. But if people feel like they can't, due to propaganda, due to history, due to whatever, you're the only ones left standing, and therefore you'll be the one burned at the stake, or have piss thrown at your house, like in this particular scenario. So I'm not saying that piss thrown at the house is naturally going to lead to burning at the stake, but I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if it does.
Yeah, well, what can I say? The ANC's made this bed. It's going to have to lie in it. So we covered that quite a lot last week. A lot of what the ANC is now seeing that it finds undesirable, it has created for itself.
Yep.
We obviously saw ministers being heckled all of last week. We did a video last week on Pravin Gordhan being heckled by students. But they forget that it's the ANC who invented this heckling, this form of heckling. And now it's become like the mainstay of South Africa. So they also forget that they were the ones who were encouraging the whole fees must fall protest. What about the roads must fall protest? If you remember the way that was dealt with, that was feces being thrown in Cape Town. You know, that this kind of things the ANC normalized in their locations. But if you normalize this behavior and there's no one else to kind of like, there's no other outlet, the behavior is going to come back on you. And that's exactly what we're seeing. So personally, what do I think about it? Amandla. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's why they wanted the land back, so they could reap what they sow. Okay, enough dad jokes. This is getting really old. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Thanks very much.
See you in the next one.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.